How are we, YouTubers? Right. You may have heard about a 95-year-old woman in Cooma that was tasered, right, by New South Wales Police because in her nursing home and using a walking frame inside her own bedroom, not wanting to commit self-harm to herself. So really she didn't present as a danger to herself, just others. But whatever set her off for whatever reason, plus she suffers from dementia. Mind you, she's 95, so she's lived through 2 world wars and other things, right? She's done a great thing in her community for 50 years. She has a huge family, and we all know this tragedy's happened, right? I'd just like to point out a couple of things, right? I mean, all right, New South Wales Police, they're under scrutiny for it, and so they should be because their training measures are absolutely shocking, right? For a constable to think that it's okay, right, to pull out a taser and taser a 95-year-old woman as she's slowly approaching him to, I don't know, why couldn't you have used maybe a broom to disarm her, or a blanket, or you could have used an array of other things, right? You're in a nursing home for starters, so there would have been access to blankets, sheets, a broom, anything to knock the knife out. I don't think at all that you needed to taser at all, right? That's my opinion, right? Let's make that clear, right? For all we know, she might have had the reflexes of a cheetah, right? But in all seriousness, she's now in Cooma Hospital fighting for life. My heartfelt prayers go out to the family of the woman, for the family of the woman, right? I think it's absolutely disgusting, right? So this is just another thing that's happened. This is in Melbourne, a stabbing tragedy, right? Now, this was a stabbing tragedy where it happened. A 15-year-old boy was waiting at a bus stop, right? Waiting to get on a bus and go and meet up with his older brother and go and watch a movie, right? He's been set upon by, and I'll say it, the news hasn't said it, but I'll say it, 3 Sudanese youths that actually go to his school, right? And they say stabbing, right? But they're brandishing a machete. Now, I don't know if any of you actually have looked at a machete. It's not really a knife that is designed for stabbing. It's designed for, basically cutting. That's what it's designed to cut, right? And he's received what they say, stabbing, right, to the neck. I can tell you now, they've swung it to take his head off. Well, he's passed away. And they've fled the scene. And then the police have surrounded, the next day, they surrounded the Sunshine School in which the young boy who lost his life went to, knowing that the people who've committed this crime went to this school and locked it up to try and, find the people who've done it. They still haven't found the person who's done it. Right? Now, another one that happened was at David Jones in Melbourne at Myer. A shop assistant noticed some male and female trying to steal a very expensive handbag and leave the store. As he's approached, this young man has slashed his arm open and fled the store, right? What I'm getting to is this, right? And let's not forget about the house in Templestowe that was gated, big fence, surveillance cameras of an elderly couple who were looking after their grandchildren, who 10 youths decided to jump the fence and terrorise them and their grandchildren and still managed to steal 2 of their cars, right? What I'm getting at here is this. We're taking a soft approach to violent crime, but when it comes to an elderly woman, just taser her. I mean, yeah, I'm going to point out something here, right? Right, so, excuse me, I will be fast forwarding, but let's just have a listen to this, right?
With Jennifer Cunt. Good evening. First tonight, a small community in Melbourne's west is trying to make sense of the death of a teenager in horrific circumstances. The youngest of 4 children, he was supposed to go to the movies with an older brother last night. But Passam Lamim died after being set upon with a machete at Sunshine, possibly sparked by an argument on social media.
The actions of these men were senseless and the outcome devastating. In the final moments of a young man's life, they made a run for it. Brandishing large blades, including at least 2 machetes, 2 men seen here wearing red backpacks went in one direction. The other made a desperate dash down McDonald Lane. His movements were tracked by security cameras. Dressed in black and concealing his face, but not the murder weapon, he reached a dead end. For 10 minutes he paced before disappearing, as dozens of shocked commuters rushed to Passam Lamim's aid. The 16-year-old was on a day off from school when he was set upon shortly after 3:30 p.m. Another boy he was with was also injured and taken to hospital.
Right, now I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to fast forward to another story, okay? So just bear with me. Right, this is the story of the elderly woman that was tasered, okay?
It's outrage tonight as a 95-year-old woman fights for life after being tasered by police in her aged care home. Claire Noland, who has dementia, was found holding a steak knife, but when she refused to drop the weapon, officers fired. Their body cam of the incident now central to an investigation.
Frail and feather-light, at 5'2" and 43 kilos, 95-year-old great-grandmother Claire Nowland doesn't look as though she'd pose much of a threat to anyone.
She had a walking frame, but she had a knife.
Now a New South Wales Assistant Police Commissioner is left to explain why such extreme force was used against her.
At the time she was tasered, she was approaching police, but it is fair to say at a slow pace.
Police were called to the Allenby Lodge nursing.
Right. If there was a time that officer, that senior officer, I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's not funny at all. I'm very angry. It's just not un-Australian. You just don't do things like that. But if there was a time that officer, that senior officer who's been given the task to front the media and talk to the media about this whole situation, if there was a time that he'd actually want WorkSafe, anti-discrimination laws, WorkSafe laws, and any workplace OH&S abolished right there and then, so he could take that officer who tased that woman and take him back of house and literally give him the walkthrough story in a wordless content, meaning, right, that's the time. Did you see the look on his face? I mean, it just, where people, just one tick here. Right, I'll fast forward it, right, and just have a listen, because the officer had, Oscar! The officer had his body camera on. Just have a listen to this, right?
It is confronting footage.
We've been advocating for dementia first aid training for frontline responders.
Right. The woman jumped out of a plane. I mean, I don't understand. I really, what I want to say, I don't know how to put it correctly into words that won't offend some people, and without advocating another party to think that I'm being racist or a bigot or just better use of a fucking idiot. You know, I'm not a fucking idiot. All right, okay. This is every day. You know, this isn't every day, but the crime that I showed you before about the stabbing, that's every day, right? You're not safe in your own homes. I mean, you know, if you want to shop, where that, you know. All right. I'll tell you a story, right? Okay. I found a bus parked out the front of my place, right? There was no driver. It wasn't at a bus stop. It was nowhere where cars should be parked. Anywhere, it's on a main road, nothing. It was left running, right? The doors were open and there was no driver. My partner and I, we found the bus at the end of our driveway, and I went to the bus to see if the driver was okay. My intentions were to see if there was anything wrong with the driver, or basically what was going on, to investigate what was going on. I had no sinister act or anything, you know, not even to make a joke of it, nothing. It was quite serious. At 6 o'clock in the morning on our road, which is very busy, right? It's a main road, right? And there was no bus driver, there was nothing, the bus was running, right? So I was concerned. I rang up Reservoir Police. Yeah, and I did. I rang up Reservoir Police, right? Okay, and I told them the concern. And now he asked whereabouts it was the bus, in what area. So Reservoir Police Station for where I live is only about 300-400 metres down the road, okay? Right? And across from me there's a garden supply centre, right? And a convenience store, bakery called Pie Time, right? And I described that, and I couldn't believe what the copper said to me on the phone when I described that. I said, oh, well, there's Pie Time across the road and the, you know, garden centre. And this copper, in his wisdom of, they don't train you to be a fucking comedian at the police force, do they? Or maybe they are now, right? But you know what he said to me? He said, well, maybe he's gone to get a pie. Yeah. What the fuck does that, you know, I'm ringing up about a concerning matter. This is a 10-ton vehicle that's running. I could have easily jumped over the thing and taken off with it. He left it running. It's not like it's on a measurement device, you know, where as soon as I move it, it's going to cut out. It was running. And this copper's saying to me, you know, maybe he went and got a pie. Well, I'll tell you what turned out with that driver. He ended up losing his job, and so he should. Right? Okay? But that wasn't my intention. That wasn't my intention at all, to have anyone lose their job. My intention was there out of concern. And I'm ringing Victorian Police out of concern, right? And I'm getting told by a fucking idiot, right? Maybe he's going to get a pie. That's why I say in my videos, go get a pie, right? The reason why I say go get a pie, at least it'll take you outside and you'll see the fucking world. And there's many different sorts of pies. Fruit pies, meat pies, you know, fucking party pies, vegetarian pies, and they fucking come in all sorts of fucking colours. That way, a pie is not fucking racist, all right? But here we are, and we're watching the news. Now, maybe that copper, maybe that copper who said go get a pie should have been handling the old woman, because he probably would have offered a pie. All right, and we bring this copper down here, who's tasered. I put him down here, and he'll taser these pricks who are just running around like idiots down here. What do we do, mate? I mean, honestly, you know, I want to know, is this copper going to get charged with manslaughter if she passes away? Right? I've been in security, like many other people have been in security, and I started in the mid-80s, right? When licensing was just coming out. It was violent, but a different violent. It wasn't like the violence today. Violence back then, I'm not going to say it was useless, but it was different. There was a code, you know? You didn't kick them when they were down. You know, if knives were out, well, then they were not necessarily at the pub, right? That's a different type of world outside, right? You know, where there's guns and whatever else. But in a pub, it was more this, you know, stand up, here you go, be a bloke, right? But now, you literally walk out your door, you're fighting for your life. They're not going to stab you, mate. You know, it's rampant. What do? What do we do? I'll tell you what we do. Stop softening the laws and alleging shit and stuff like that. You know, I had police rock up at some of the scenes when I was at, you know, doing crowd control. One scene in particular was my mate, Christmas Eve. He said goodbye to me and walked out the door, and I just knocked back a group of people who were intoxicated and stuff like that. This is quite a few years ago, and this one particular bloke in this group was pacing the front, right? And I just had a real, you know, a gut instinct. At the same time, we had the Powertown Football Club that we knocked back because they were totally fucking whacked, right? And that, when I mean whacked, pissed, right? And of course they got nothing better to do. I mean, you know, Powertown, you're standing around all day waiting for the sun to shine or, you know, the wind to move or whatever else. So they're quite used to standing around doing nothing anyway. So they were happy to stand at the front door, even though they couldn't get in, and just, you know, go, oh, you're a dickhead, you're a dickhead, you're a dickhead, all night. So that's all right. So you put up with that shit, right? But at turn, you also knew that if you stepped out there for whatever reason, one of them's going to have a sucker punch on you, right? Well, my mate Dean, he left and he said to me, you know, have a Merry Christmas, Justin. Yep, no worries. Anyway, he got into a taxi, and I noticed this bloke from the second group that was knocked back, right, go over to the taxi that had an open window, and he punched Dean, my mate, through an open window to the head. And then Dean got out and has confronted the bloke. They've gone up the street a bit out of range. I've gone to go out. My partner's grabbed me. He's gone, Justin, what are you doing? You know, because he knew if I went out there, it's going to be on, meaning with them. These fucking idiot football players from Powertown are going to jump me. Well, that's of course what's happened, right? By the time I got to me mate, Dean, he had suffered horrific injury where his chest cavity had actually been cracked and opened up. But he subsequently died in my arms. There's three ways you can die from that. You die from immediate cardiac arrest, or you pass out and you'll die. The two of them are very quick. The other one is you'll lie there screaming until the shock will send you into cardiac arrest. And unfortunately for Dean, and I won't say myself, but you know, he died the third way. He screamed and then passed away in my arms. I did apprehend the assailant, well, the fucking asshole who did it, and then the Powertown Football Club decided to come along and jump me, in which he got free, but not without me breaking his jaw and, you know, breaking his arm in 3 places before he got away. And they picked him up 2 weeks later. Needless to say, the police bungled that one too. But I don't know where this video is going. I just don't. I'm just talking for the hell, not for the hell of it. But I mean, you know, we've got to. The youth of today, you know, I'll say this, right? When you have powers, right, whether it be in police or in school or in crime, powers, you've got lords, right, or whatever, mafia if you want to use a better word, right? They control streets and they don't like anything being red lighted because it affects earns. So that means dickheads are put on notice. Don't be a dickhead, don't draw attention to yourself, stuff like that. That's what crime was about. Don't draw attention to yourself. And if you were doing crime, it normally was against a rival party or an industry that didn't affect innocent people, right? Okay? Right? And it was, you know, like fruit markets, concreting, picking up the bins, whatever it may be, right? Okay? But now it's just everywhere because you've taken out the key players. So everyone's a drug dealer now. Everyone's a crime person. There's no one out there controlling the streets. The police can't. And I'll say this, the police used to work with certain functions of, you know, people saying, oh, you want to clean this up or else we're going to, you know, have to do something about this. Right? But we've gone all this, and with this, I think my main point is this, you know, we've got better things to worry about than you genders out there worrying about you confused fuckers, right? This, have a voice and everything else. Have you seen what's going on in the world? We're looking at World War III. Why do you reckon Joe Biden didn't come here? Cancelled his trip immediately, right? And as for your genders and things like that, pull your bloody heads in. We've got people dying on the street, elderly people getting tasered and stuff like that, and training, whatever. It's just a joke. Sorry for this video. It's a bit of a rant. You know, as I said, as you all probably know, I don't think through. I just talk, right? But I think people need to see the true emotion and also some trigger points. You know, I'm not a racist, you know, but like, you know, those kids that have killed that kid, are they going to get deported? Were they born here? No. Grab them, throw them. Don't even put them in our jails because it's like a hotel to them. Just fuck them off. Just fuck them off. bring the right people to this country. And I'm not, when I say right people, I don't mean white people. I mean the right person. How many people are in our country that are here, right, and that are on some sort of benefit? My missus's family, even my grandfather and my grandma, when they had to prove that they could hold their own here. Now they're paying them to come here, and they don't have to pay the money back. My missus, her father had to spend 12 months, this is Italian, he had to spend 12 months here before he could bring his family over. And he had to pay for them to come over and have a place of dwellings. All paid, not by the government, paid him. We've lost our way. It's just, we've got to just, what is important here? What's going on? Every day there's someone being stabbed or someone's house is getting broke in or, just, what, and then they take, and then this happens to an elderly woman who's done more for the world than most of us. Who cares? And that's the thanks we give her at the end. Bang! Taser her. I was in security and that, and I had police come up to me and say, oh, it was a bit heavy-handed and things like that, Heavy-handed? What's that? I had a bloke with a bottle trying to stab me in the neck. This is when times changed, when it just got stupid out there. 5 blokes trying to take me down and stab me in the neck. Their intentions are quite clear. They're trying to kill me. They're not hurt me, kill me. And they ended up on the other hand. They got hurt, seriously hurt. And that. And the coppers wanted to put charges on me. I'll give you a story. I got pulled over, right? And I was 10 days off getting my licence back. But I had to go to work, right? And I went and did security at a youth concert, right? For troubled kids and stuff like that. On my way home, I got pulled over. I admitted to me, it was the wrong thing to do, driving without a licence and that. What the coppers did? They let me go and they washed me right off. I've since spoken to the sergeant at Preston Police Station, Stevens, and I put forward, I said, is it common practice to let someone who has just been pulled over with either a disqualified, cancelled, or licence to write off? He went, no. I said, well, that's what happened. He said, so what are you getting at? I said, well, I've got a summons in the mail now, I've got to go to court for driving without a licence. He's gone, yeah. I said, but your officers let me drive after they pulled me over. I said, say that was to come up in the courtroom. How would that go? And he went, no, too good. And I said, that's right. I said, and also, they said to me, come back here when they told me to go away. We've turned off our body camera. Go home. How do you take that? They've used their discretion. It's not a bad bloke. Made a mistake. See you later. Off you go. It was only a kilometre from home anyway. But the police today are picking on the easy targets, which is me, and you, and that. These criminals out there, they don't even go after them. There's no point. They don't care. Stolen cars, whatever else like that. They don't care. They should just bring back. Look, when they catch this kid who's killed this other kid, they're going to treat him. They won't taser him. They won't do nothing. Right? They'll put him in handcuffs. Just like when they caught the bloke who stabbed their mire worker. Right? They caught him, walked him out. They walked. They were cuffed. She even put her hand on the top of his head to get him in the car safely. They didn't do that with her. You know what should happen? They should be taken out the back and flogged like a fucking rabid dog to death. Or break their hands. Maybe not to death. Right? But break their hands. You won't be stealing nothing for a while, mate. You won't be breaking into any cars. You break their hands properly, they won't. Who's going to take them on a crime? 2 broken hands. What are you going to do? The only thing you'd probably be good to do, which they don't need to do anymore, is break windows because they've got these things. Anyway, thanks for giving me your time. If you watch this video, like and subscribe and go get a pie. All right?